R.I.P. Tom Benson. Shout out to the whole Who That Nation. Now who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. I say who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. Oh, who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. I say who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. You got that fever? Yeah, yeah, that fever for the flavor. Got that flavor? Yeah, yeah, that flavor for the funk. You got that fever? Yeah, yeah, that fever for the flavor. Got that flavor? Yeah, yeah, that flavor for the funk. I got that fever, my people. See, we not equal, my people. I'm like that dog saint underneath the steeple, my people. Got Drew Brees, he the feature, and our defense the sequel. The D-line and linebackers, man, they coming to reach ya. Make enemies some believers, cause we overachievers. DBs see 50-50 balls and we call them keepers. Y'all can follow this leader, cause Sean Payton will teach ya.
Saints Talk listeners, what's up? Man, football just feels good, man. Nick, you know, you smiling. You don't usually smile like it's in the air, man. It's in the air, bro. It's in the air. I can see football on your face. I can see football on your face. It's your favorite time of the year, this training camp. How you doing, man?
No, it is. I enjoy training camp, man. There's nothing really like it, trying to see how the team comes together, and then all the stuff we talk about, you start to see it, and it's not theories. You start to see, you know, some of the things that you were thinking, if it's true, if it's not, how things are stacking up. So it's still a little bit early. I don't know if I have a great feel for what this team is yet, but we're starting to get there a little bit. And, you know, I think some of the areas of concern have been a little bit less concerning. I think there's some things that aren't as dire as they felt a little bit ago, but we'll get into some of those things. But yeah, it's just good to be back out there, see the team, see Jameis and Taysom, all that stuff.
You know, let me give my little testimony, 10 seconds. It just feels good to not have to like manufacture talking points.
Oh yeah.
It's just like I prepared a list of things to talk about. It'll be a 4-hour pod. Like I'm the happiest man in the world. You know, you hit me during the week, like what we talking about this week. I'm like, bruh.
Yeah.
Like, I hope something happens between now and the pod. So but football is here. Thank you guys for joining us. Shout out to the live listeners. Shout out to the subscribers for NewOrleans.Football. That's the reason why we do this pod. So if you guys are listening, you know, just go sign up, man. Especially right now. Right. Usually we just jump into football, but I'm just letting you guys know the practice reports. The practice reports are amazing. They come out every day. There's a practice. If there's stories in between, there's a story. You know, there's a story that came out this week about Jameis and some of the things that he did as it pertains to other NFC South quarterbacks and how he could kind of see them in the system he used to be in. And he's learning from that. But the story on Kwon Alexander signing today, that's going to probably be what we lead with. Go to NewOrleans.Football and check it out. It's hot over there right now. So if you're not in, then, you know, just saying, man, just didn't get in. So
yeah, and a shout out to BetUS sponsoring the show.
Yes,
if you're a sports gambler, go over there. They're you know, they're always doing good things over there. They're the 3-decade leader. BetUS, join now. You get 125% off bonus, or I'm sorry, 125% bonus or 200% bonus if you use crypto by using the code NOF125. You can bet sports, casinos, horses, pop culture, more. They got odds on Jameis Winston being the comeback player of the year, so go check that out.
NOF 125. That's 125%. So
BetUS.
Make sure you guys check that out. BetUS. Nick, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, man. Let's get right into it. And I mean, we got to start with Kwon. We got to start with Kwon Alexander re-signing to the Saints, 1-year deal up to $3 million. Be careful how you guys report those things. Talk about it, Nick. I want your takes this whole pod. I'm just gonna like throw up alley-oops. I want you to catch them. So, what's your take on Kwon returning? Let me hear it.
So I'm a little conflicted on it. You know, it'd be phony of me to come on here and be like, this is like the greatest move ever. Because honestly, you know, I look at it through the lens of the draft capital, and you got 2 third-round picks in Bassett and Bond, 2nd-round pick in Werner. And look, it's possible one of those guys is still the starter, and if it is, cool. Like that's fine. Or if they play snaps and they contribute this year, cool. But if they don't end up being part of your plans, I think that it's fair to be critical of those draft picks. Now there's still time on them. So absolutely. I say that through the lens of that, you know, maybe in time, Pete Werner becomes, you know, an excellent linebacker. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there's still a lot of time on it. So it doesn't have to happen right away year one. But look, in their own draft outlines, what they lay out, what they want in each round, this isn't my opinion. It's their opinion. A 2nd-round pick is supposed to be someone that can compete for a starting job and play significant snaps. 3rd-round pick is supposed to be someone that can play significant snaps and potentially become a starter in time. So that's what they're looking for out of those spots. You invested it back-to-back years. It's a lot of draft capital. And I think it's a bad way to look at it to say, like, okay, you got to draft for right now. But the way this offseason was and their limited resources, the inability to participate in free agency because of the cap constraints and all that, the draft was the way to get your team better.
Yeah.
And if you knew you were signing a linebacker, I think it's fair to say, like, maybe you should have looked at something else in the second round. And look,
Absolutely.
again, that's a right now versus long term, and it's two things that are at odds, and it might not be the worst thing. The other part of it, though, is if you can get a guy that makes your team better, you got to get better. You got to get better.
At the end of the day, that's what it's really about. The best guys you can get on the field, right?
Right. So I think it can be both things. I think that you can dislike the signing on one hand if it affects these guys. Well, you can dislike what they did in the draft, and like it later, not like it right now. I think you can. I think there's a lot of things that are at odds that can work together, but there's still fair points of criticism that, if you put 2 third-round picks in Zach Bond, he should be contributing to your team in year 2 in some form or fashion. And if Kwon is healthy, and everything I hear is positive, I don't want to come on here and say, like, this is where he's at health-wise, because it's 7 months removed. He hasn't had to change directions in close quarters and, different things like that. So seeing it in a video in a controlled setting versus a chaotic setting that's unpredictable, I think are 2 different things. So I don't want to come on here and say anything, but everything I've heard is positive. So if he comes in, he makes your team better. I think that it can help your secondary. If your front seven gets better, if you're missing that other cornerback, maybe adding Kwon helps you become a better team.
Yeah.
If he doesn't start, he can be, really, really elite depth. If Pete Werner's, and I think he's been good. I think he's been good in training camp. I think Andrew Dowell's been good in training camp. I think that Zach Bond's been better than expected in training camp. The flash plays every day have been at linebacker, and that's not normally how I feel in camp. Sometimes in the past, I felt like I've had to look for the other linebackers.
Yeah.
And Demario Davis makes you notice him.
Oh yeah.
And you'd have to look, hey, what's this guy doing? How's he dropping? What, like, these guys make you notice him. Like, there's a run play and there's Pete. There's Zach Bond making an interception. There's Andrew Dowell batting the ball down from somebody. I've had to look a little bit for Chase Hansen, and I've kind of felt like maybe Dowell should be pushing up the depth chart a little bit. But I think these guys have been better than expected. Bringing Kwon in, it's like Jeff Ireland says, he's never against building a strength on a strength. And if that's what they're doing, fine. But I can still look at the draft and be like, was Zach Bond a good pick? If he's not playing this year, if you put 2 third-round picks into like somebody that's special teams only in year 2, was it a good pick? I think it's fair to start asking these questions at this point. And I can say, I don't like, I talked on here a lot during the offseason. Hey, like, if they bring in Kwon, it's gonna feel weird about, like, because they've invested this stuff in there. I think that can be true, but it wasn't specific to the player. I like the stuff Kwon was able to do last year. I think he was very good in pass defense. I thought his run defense was spotty. I think that'll probably be the case for him. Again, I think his run defense will probably get better if he's ready to play and he can spend some training camp time in. But I don't think he's ever going to be a stout run defender. I think that's fair to say.
No, that's not his game. And that's
right.
I mean, that's not the NFL currently neither. And I think with the guys that they had around him last year, at least, you still could field the 4th best run defense in the NFL. I think it was with a guy who's maybe somewhat liability is a strong word, but you could just say that's not a strong point. And so, yeah, I think that's fair analysis. I mean, I'm cool with the move. I think the defense just looked different with Kwon on the field last year. And it maybe it's the splash plays that he makes. I agree with that. Maybe it's like, it's all or nothing with him sometimes. But I think at the end of the day, I think it's a good move. It allows, Demario Davis to play Mike, which is where he would prefer to play. DA said that in his press conference.
I don't know if Demario would say that if you asked him himself.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was what his defensive coordinator says. But, I think
last year he talked about how he wanted to be like he liked playing well. It was more natural and all that stuff. So.
Okay. Well, he's gonna be if Kwon is starting, he's gonna be the Mike.
Yeah, I think he's fine with either one.
I think he's good. He's good. You could put him at I don't know.
See, they see the future for. I talked to Mike Hodges just yesterday. Got him off to the side, and he was telling me that he thinks that Pete can be a green dot player. So I mean, I think there's a possibility that Pete Werner, at some point could be a middle linebacker. Yeah, and look, it. I don't know how to feel about this in terms of how it affects him, what it means for him, what they think about, because it's like DA doesn't lie, right? Like DA tells you, like you ask
does
about
not lie.
He got asked about two rookies back to back. The first one was Pete Werner, and he had this whole thing about how smart he is and the things he's noticing on defense and how far further ahead he is than rookies are usually, right. and it's abnormal. And then he gets asked about Paulson.
And to your point, he was like, I seen him make checks that you don't usually expect from a rookie.
And this was after day 4 of practice. It's not like week 4. It's not week 14. It's day 4 of practice. Then he gets asked about Paulson Adebo. It's early. It's early. I don't want to make any statements. It's early. So I mean,
that. Yeah, that's true.
Look, I was asking Hodges about him, and he's just, Hodges was telling me about, like, look, man, we're in these meetings, and I'm trying to hold back with the rookie players. Like, you teach them a little bit, and then you add the details, and then you add details on the details. Yeah. He's like, we put the stuff up, and then Pete's like, hey, like, why aren't you telling us, like, we got to do this and this with it? So, like, he's seen it. He understands it. On the field, he's in position to make plays. It's kind of what he basically, I think he's shown up as expected from Ohio State. He's in position. He's making plays. He's using his intelligence. He isn't necessarily, not running down Alvin Kamara on a 20-yard wheel route and knocking the ball down, but he's running with him on it, and he's in position to make a play. And I think that's who you think he is. He's in the flat, making the tackle when the ball's caught. Like, he's just where he's supposed to be, and that's how he's looked. Kwon's a better athlete. I think that's I think Kwon's a better athlete than most linebackers.
Yeah, I'm about to say that's not an indictment on it. He's a better athlete than Demario Davis. If he's just like, if you're just
probably.
Looking at
I mean, look, if they're gonna run a straight line, sure. I
mean, I
think
twitchy move, but Demario's, he's just a different type of guy. He's not a better linebacker than Demario, but when you just look at athletic profile, I would probably say he probably tested better.
I think if you put those 3 guys on the field, 100 plays, they read and diagnoses, I think that Demario and Pete Werner are probably going to be in position properly more often than Kwon. But Kwon has enough to overcome, a misstep, and Pete Werner doesn't. I mean, so I mean that, look, we'll see, how all this shakes out. I think his health comes into question. I think that's going to be part of it. Can he maintain? Look, the other thing is historically speaking, if Kwon Alexander's on your team, you need a plan B, just like you need a plan B for Teron Armstead. And some years
been hurt quite a bit. Yeah.
Some years you might not. Some years, you will, and you got to be prepared for it. So I don't know. We'll see how all the pieces come together. If they get better, they get better. And I just wish it was a scenario where all this put into one position in the draft, it was paying off for the team.
Yeah, I think that's the big takeaway from it. I mean, obviously, listen, I mean, you want Kwon to be good. I mean, obviously you would prefer that Pete beat him out. Pete Werner beat him out, because that would mean that the guy you invested your draft capital in and you got for 4 years on the cheap is better than the guy who you got for 1 year, who's a veteran, right? I mean, the younger, cheaper player, you would hope that he succeeds. But yeah, I think it's time to start asking some draft questions. Absolutely. I mean, Ruiz has to be better. Davenport has to be better. Traquan has to be better. Zach Bond has to be better. Pete better be good. Turner, all these young players the last 3 years, somebody better be good. A couple of them, right? Or it's time to start asking some questions. And I think that's kind of what I took away from it. Like, okay, is this like a giveaway? Not give up, but it's like, what does this say about the linebackers? And I think it's not good. I mean, you could say what you want to say about him diagnosing someone, but you're a team with not a lot of cap space, and you just
he's not gonna change the cap.
Well, that's true. Okay, that's a fair point. But
yeah, they're getting them basically for free.
So, yeah, that's a good point.
So I mean, that says something about Kwon too. I mean, like,
I think it does. I think it says something about the young guys too, though. Like I said,
it says something about everybody. Yeah,
you spend 2/3 in a second on linebackers, and none of those guys are on the field, most likely. Or we'll see. We'll see.
We don't even know what they're thinking yet about with this move. It might just be, hey, look, this guy was good last year, and let's bring him in because something could happen.
But if you bring Kwon in, Kwon has a chance to start.
Sure, he does. But like, he might be brought in with the vision of depth. You know what I mean? Like Devonta Freeman was brought in with the vision of depth. I mean, like, you don't know. We don't know yet. I mean, but yeah, I mean, there's a chance they're going to compete. He's a good player, so theoretically, yes, if he's on the team, there's a 50-50 at worst chance that he's going to be your starter next to DeMario.
Yeah.
And, I think it probably matters to some degree that, I don't know if he has any say, but like, I think DeMario's reactions lets you know who he wants on the
lets him know
field.
who he wanted back
Yeah.
out there. Yeah. And who, I
Yeah.
mean, he probably trusts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got these veterans, they surrounded by all these young guys now. So he's like, yo, if I can get my guy back in here who I trust and I've got some rapport with, then yeah, obviously. So I understand his reaction. And I just think it's a bad look as when you look at just your resources your team building resources. You've spent a lot of capital on a position that it looks like, I mean, right now it doesn't look like the return is there. So
I think that the perspective of it could change to some degree. Like if we were in a different scenario in the off season, all right, like let's say they actually have some money.
Yeah.
They signed Kwon before the draft. Let's just push Bond aside. If you're just looking at it,
it's
right?
hard
But if you're just looking at it through the Kwon and Werner prism, if they had signed Kwon and still drafted Werner and they weren't as cap strapped, you just be like, okay, he's in there and this guy's going to develop, and that now he's the future. And I think you'd be a little more patient with it, but because of the way the offseason was, because there was no money, there was no Zach Bond, you get forced into looking at it in an ideal way of evaluating a draft through the prism of they had to address their immediate needs. They didn't get a cornerback. They didn't add a wide receiver. They just drafted a linebacker. They just drafted another linebacker. They just signed a linebacker. What's going on here? And I don't think that's necessarily the best way to evaluate a draft class, but their reality forces you to talk about it in this prism. So I'm not hanging my name on any long-term takes, but in the short term, it just feels like, man,
it's tough deal, man.
Yeah.
I mean, because they drafted for need. Like the top 3 positions that they needed, they drafted those guys in the first 3 rounds. Right. And so when that's the only way you can use your resource, and then I mean, I just think it's just not the best situation. I can't look at this move through the Adrian Peterson, Alvin Kamara lens, because like you said, Zach Bond is hovering like over my head like a little devil. Like, hey man, don't forget about me. So yeah, we'll see. So that's our take. I had, people.
The thing is, like, Bond's moving better. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
maybe he's the starter. Like,
he's not. I mean, I think it's from what I'm if they had made no other move, I'd be very comfortable hopping on Bet US and saying he weren't starting next to DeMario Davis.
Hey man, get that NOL 125 coming there, the over 100% bonus.
But I mean, I would have, that was my, like, I felt very comfortable predicting that Pete Werner would be the guy.
That's your guy, man. I mean, you call him, you get him, he got a last name now. I thought he was just Pete.
Yeah, well, that's industry. Yeah,
he ain't Pete no more. No. He's back up. Yeah, I got a last name now. Or first name is for starters only. So, all right. So there we go. That's the Kwon take. I know I had a couple of people tweeting at me saying, or DM me and saying, hey guys, what do you feel about Kwon? I'm like, you guys will know in about an hour or so. So there you go. All right. Now the pod starts. The most important thing that we will talk about every single podcast from now until week 1 is this quarterback battle. You guys can get tired of it. I don't care. We're going to keep talking about it. Again, alley-oop, Nick, the floor is yours. What are you seeing from Jameis? What are you seeing from Taysom? And what are you seeing from the rookie too? Like, talk about all the quarterbacks. Trevor Siemian, just what are you seeing from that room? But obviously, 7 and 2 are the guys we want to hear the most about.
I don't think anybody's in the lead right now, honestly.
Okay.
I think it's been pretty back and forth, and I think it's tighter than I actually thought it was going to be. I thought there might be some separation after, a week of practices, and I just don't think it's at that point yet. I think Jameis, collectively looking at the sum of everything, had the best individual practice on Saturday. Like easily. Then he comes back, he's 6 for 11. I thought Taysom was maybe a little bit better today, Tuesday, in this session, but not by much. I mean,
both guys,
they both were 6 of 11. Marshawn had 2 pass breakups on.
We're gonna talk about him too. We definitely gonna talk about him.
He had 2 pass breakups and he had a ball batted down at the line. I think Marshawn was making incredible plays. Those are still on the quarterback. You got to put the ball where the guy can't get it. But I think some of the circumstances around his incompletions today were understandable.
Jameis or Taysom?
Taysom.
Okay.
You know, Jameis ran into some decent defense too, but he's playing the second string guy, so I'm a little bit less forgiving of Brian Poole breaking up a pass over, you know,
I mean,
Marshall Lattimore
if the
picking.
guy's covered though, he's covered though,
Right.
right? I
He
mean,
is. Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, both of them are on the quarterbacks. So I thought Jameis's day was slightly better. Like if Jameis was a 7.1 and Taysom was a 6.8 today. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, I got
yeah.
it. I got it. I mean, it's the
They
second
weren't
team.
even sevens. They were like, you know, they were like 5.5 and 5.1.
My confidence at the start of on the last pod.
Yeah. But you know, overall, I think Jameis's body of work is pretty good. You know, overall, I think Taysom's body of work is pretty good. And the thing about Taysom is every year he shows up and he gets better. Every
Yeah.
single year he shows up and he gets better. He addresses things. He shows growth. If you want to look at a player to believe in growth of a quarterback, the ability to go from what he was at BYU to you know, something much better. I don't know if it'll get all the way there, but he gives you reason to believe that like these things. Oh, this can't be corrected. This can't be corrected. This can't be corrected. He's corrected it. Is it corrected enough? That's a different question. But he can correct things and he grows. He's throwing passes to the flat. You know, he couldn't do that
Let me
when
ask
he
you
was
this. Let
starting.
me ask you this about Taysom. Is this gap from from trash/mediocre to above average? Is that if he started off average, would he be elite? You know, with that same jump?
Yeah, I mean, he'd be really, really, really good. I mean, he would be like with that BYU man. It was real bad.
The highlight
Yeah.
reel.
The fact like that guy even being like that, you could be like he'd be a quality backup in the NFL. You'd be like, no way, that's not possible. He can't get there.
Yeah,
And I think you know, I think Taysom has solidified himself as a quality backup. Now he's trying to prove that he can be a quality starter, and we'll see if he can do that. And that's what he's battling this year. But you know, he's getting the ball out faster. He's getting through his reads to the flat faster.
yeah.
You know, the thing I'll say is that we're watching these games from a sideline. It's not on film. You can't pause it. You can't evaluate
Yeah,
necessarily what reads he's missing. And, you know, as you can see some, but, you know, you're not seeing enough to really make that like hardcore.
yeah,
But on a surface level, is he getting through his reads quicker? Yes. Is he throwing passes to the flat with touch? Yes. Is he getting to the flat quick, you know, before everybody's crashing down and, you know, Alvin Kamara is about the ball out of the air because the safety's about to kill him. Yes, he's doing all those things better. And I think those are the major questions. We'll see in the preseason if it holds up. But he's been better than I thought he was going to be. You know, Jameis, I think, is making – I've only seen one decision where I've been like, what is this guy doing? And it was Saturday. He took a sack. And, you know, they don't whistle him dead. But he was pressured. He got a sack. He steps up and just heaves it, hoping he can hit Deontay Harris like 50 yards down the field. And it was just like, what are you doing? And, you know, he said afterwards, he wished he wouldn't have done that. But
he's trying to be Batman, not Bruce Wayne.
yeah. You know, other than that, he's, you know, there's a willingness to check down. He threw a ball out of bounds today.
Yeah.
You know, I thought today he struggled and like I was kind of like on the sideline waiting for him to I was like, this guy's gonna try to like erase this bad day. He never did. Like he just kept making the easy decision, checking down.
That's good though. I mean, that's a good
Yes.
sign from him actually,
Yes.
because I mean, because there's gonna be bad days. Like I don't care who you are, right? So if you stick to your training and your routine and you know what you were taught on when things are not good, I think that's a sign of someone who is playing within the confines of you know what he thinks he needs to do. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I kind of look at that as a positive because if
so do I.
if he came out here slinging it around every practice, I'm like, well, what's wrong with the defense? You know, that would be my question. Like, yeah, I mean, Drew had bad days, right? And not the same type of bad days. We can't put these in the same context. His bad days are like, you know, very different than what you're going to see from Jason and Jamison Taysom. But yeah, I think that's a good sign for him because I mean, his ceiling is significantly higher as a quarterback than 7. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, look, the other thing I'll say too is that I think at the high end, high end ability wise, like these guys are able to do things that injured Drew Brees couldn't. I think that's clear, you know, obvious right now. I mean, the difference is that injured Drew Brees still didn't lose you games, and we'll find out if these guys will or won't. But, you know, neither one's thrown an interception,
which is good.
Yeah,
especially 2. I mean, come on, man.
I thought Jameis got saved by 1 by Chris Hogan. He threw a pass too high down the field. You know, Hogan went up and got it, saved the pick, I thought. And you know, today Taysom, I thought, I mean, he absolutely got saved from 1. He threw the ball like Lattimore had his hands, was going right on it, and like Callaway
knocked it off.
reached through and poked it off. So
Yeah.
he got saved from one there. But I mean, overall, it's competitive, and we'll see. I mean, it's again, I think it's closer than it was expected to be. And I think the one thing working against Taysom is that I think if he were to win this battle, it would have to be. I think he'd have to decisively win it. Jameis is going to win every push, I think.
Yeah, because they need Taysom kind of, sort of like Taysom. Man, if he wasn't quarterback now, I'd be like, man, all right, at least we got Taysom as a backup tight end, H-back, slot wide receiver, right? It kind of feels like with Mike being out, Deontay potentially being injured, Traquan limping off the field today, pulling up on something, is like, he seems like, if he wasn't, like I said, if he wasn't battling for the quarterback position, I feel like he would be someone that, we'd be looking at like, okay, well, we can use him. So, and by the way, guys, you guys see how like everything Nick is talking about, like I kind of got an idea about it, and I don't go to the practices because I read the practice reports on NewOrleans.Football.
Yeah,
just want to put that out there.
We got like 150 people watching this live right now. If any of you aren't signed up for the site and you can afford $1.25 a week, $9 a month, hit the link, NewOrleans.Football/subscribe, sign up, show some love, support us, helps us do all this.
Get you one of these.
I'm doing this by myself, me and my wife. So, we're counting on you guys to support us and, make sign up for the site, show love. Hey, you work for Apple, man. I work for the people. I need the people to sign up for the site so I can pay my bills, pay my rent, all that stuff. So show some love, sign up.
Show some love, man.
Look, I promise you that
you won't regret it.
Hard as we absolutely can. And then me and Kevin, we didn't do a bonus pod last week. We'll have one this week and every week going forward. So if you're just a podcast listener, you'll even get more of that. So back to camp. Oh, and also you mentioned Cesar Ruiz earlier. He's
we're gonna get to that. No, we're gonna get to that.
He's been better.
Yeah, no, I know. It's a couple of guys we got to get to, and we're gonna start running through these things. I want you to address two more things. I want to give you the opportunity to talk about Ian Book because he got drafted, right? And I had some takes on him, and you had some takes on him, and I want you to put that out there. I think the people need to hear it. And the other thing is, just speak a little bit about, like, we're talking about Jameis and Taysom, right? And when we look at Jameis, if Jameis is good right now, you feel good. You know what you're going to get. Like, okay, this is what he can do. And then we know the high end. But for Taysom, like, there's a facet of his game that is totally not in the picture right now. And it may be the best asset that he has, right? His ability as a runner and someone that can create. So, like, when you're evaluating this, this quarterback competition, I know Sean calls you in the middle of the night and asks you what you think. Like, how do you factor in the fact that, okay, well, this one guy has this skill set that we can unlock a totally brand new set of plays with, and this other guy, maybe he doesn't have that so much. Like, how does that factor into it when you look at the quarterback battle?
It's tough. It's tough because they aren't doing it right now. But
you don't see it, so yeah.
Taysom's legs will obviously make a difference to some level. Like that's an X factor. That's something you got to deal with. And then there is a thought process, and I think we mentioned this before. If you're completely lacking weapons and you have a guy that can run and do some different things to create offense, I think there is an advantage there. I do think, though, if Jameis is your quarterback, you can still get some of that out of Taysom just by doing some of the stuff they used to do, with him and Breeze, and maybe doing more of it even. I don't think I'm not talking no 50-50 split. I don't think that's the right way to run an offense. I don't think you can.
No way.
No way. But you could use him, if it was 10 plays before, maybe 15, you can do it like that. So
exactly. Exactly.
It does have to be a factor, though, but it's just tough to evaluate that in it because that's not part of the process right now. And I don't know how to handicap something I can't see.
That's fair. That's fair.
You mentioned some of the other guys too, some of the other quarterbacks.
Jameis is sneaky elusive, like from sacks. Like,
but he isn't. He's not running QB power.
Yeah, but he's sneaky, like hard to sack at times though. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, that's because he dodges sacks from pit bulls in his backyard when he's working out. So
yeah, that's right. If a man can juggle on one foot and read cards, I'm pretty sure he can dodge. He can dodge a defensive tackle. So all right, go ahead.
The other quarterbacks too, just, quickly, Simeon has had a couple really good throws in camp, a couple
Yeah.
highlights. I think Book has been surprisingly consistent so far,
Mm-hmm.
just operating from the pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's been able to hit a couple deep balls. Nothing that's Patrick Mahomes just, but he can get the ball down the field on a that's serviceable. A
Let me ask you a
serviceable.
question about that. Like, did you see the Tua the Tua deep ball that they showed on social media a few
I
days
didn't.
back?
I didn't.
All right, so they was like, oh, Tua can throw the deep ball. Listen, Tua threw that ball with his soul. Like you can see his soul just leave with the football. Like he threw that thing with everything he had. It looked like Drew, like the last year, where like when Drew threw a deep ball, you knew that like it was a check
Yes, it
down
don't
coming
look
in.
like that. I mean,
Okay,
it's
okay, all
yeah.
right.
I mean, the people that acted like you read scouting reports, people acted like he couldn't throw the ball 17 yards. You know what I mean? Like he can. I'm telling you, he can. It's not Patrick Mahomes or anything like that. But look,
Yeah,
I think there's a reality where he could develop into being a solid backup. Like
I think
I'd say
that's
that
what you
right
would
now.
love for him.
Yeah, yeah. And is there something beyond that? I don't know. Like take step one first. But he's been operating from the pocket pretty solidly.
That's good.
Ball comes out crisp.
That's
And
good. That's
we'll see
good.
in preseason if it holds up with real contact, real pressure, all that stuff.
Mhm. Yeah.
He's kind of keeping himself contained to the pocket right now. Like in a real game, does the some of
Mhm.
the other stuff,
Yeah.
the impatience, does that all come into play? Maybe. So 5 days of practice. So I would say that his first 5 days of practice are better than any 5 days I saw from Garrett Grayson. So there's at least that. There's at least
That's
that.
a step up, man. It's
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a high bar, but it is a step up. All right, so you guys got all the quarterback talk and the spicy linebacker talk. Let's get into some of the other topics, and we're gonna run through these. What's your take on the what? What's your take on the wide receiver position right now? Who's kind of standing out? I know Deontay Harris is someone that you've been talking about on Twitter as someone who, if he maybe didn't have the pending suspension, he's someone we'd be talking a lot more about. The kid from Tulane, we're just gonna call him Jalen right now. He'll get a last name
Jalen
if he
McCluskey.
yeah,
Yeah.
if we get a couple more good practices, I'll give him a
I'll say his
last
name, man.
name.
He's been solid.
All right, McCluskey. All right, well, all right. Just have a couple more good practices though. Him, he's someone that I've heard mentioned. Like Callaway seems like he's playing, relatively well. Hogan, I haven't heard his name in a couple of days. He, how I don't know if he's still
Hogan had 4 catches today, man.
okay. All right. I just know it was a little low there. So yeah, just talk about the position, how guys are doing. Traquan, is he hurt? I mean, well, you wouldn't know. I'm just saying, like, how do you feel about the position where they are at this point in camp?
Yeah, we'll start with Traquan. Like I'm not I don't speculate on injuries. I just it looked like he hurt his like foot, ankle, lower leg. I saw him get
Okay.
stretched out on the sideline and then he left.
Okay. He
It
gets
didn't
hurt,
look
man,
like
every
there was
year,
like
man.
a significant event, but you never know what's going on. So like
Yeah. Yeah.
um when Keith Washington's injury happened, I had more of a reaction to that than Traquan's. But again, you don't know. So I mean, I don't want to speculate and like say, oh, this guy's look serious. It didn't. Like sometimes you'll see an injury that looks super serious and the dude's fine. Sometimes you'll see something and a guy looks fine, and then it's like, oh, well, this like
Yeah.
muscle popped, and it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so
One year we thought Jackrabbit was gone. Maybe it was the Bears game or something, and we was like, all right, he's out of here. And I think he may have missed a week or something, or
yeah.
maybe he played the next game. But yeah.
Yeah. You'll see people speculate, oh, this guy tore his Achilles and he didn't. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
so.
right,
So
right,
yeah,
right.
I'm just not going to get into that game. I've worked all day to try to get better concrete information. Hopefully something shakes free and we'll have a little more insight sooner than later.
Yeah.
Um, Wide receivers, I thought Callaway, he's probably maybe the most. I don't want to say the most impressive, but I think his moments have been the most impressive. It's I think there's a difference in athleticism between him and some of the other guys. Um, it's just how often does that get unlocked
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all that.
Yeah, so talk about what type of receiver Callaway is. Like, what do you see him as? Like a big, fast guy? Is he a guy that can maybe he's a little shiftier in and out of his breaks than you thought? Is he like kind of straight line guy? Like just what kind of receiver do you see him as? Is he a Z? Is he a X?
I think he can do a little bit of everything, honestly. Like he's not the curl crossing route guy exclusively that he was in 2020.
Yeah.
Even though I thought he did those things really well. That's just his game isn't that limited. He's been able to get down the field. He's had a couple deep catches, some good
Yeah.
stuff intermediately.
Yeah.
intermediate area of the field. So I think that he's somebody that can kind of give you a little bit of something at every level. And, I think he's faster than people think. When he gets going, like he plays at a different speed than maybe his time speed. I don't know what his time speed is, but like there's times where you're like, wow, that guy's
He
pretty
looks
fast.
fast, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's been impressive in those areas. I think Traquan's kind of been as expected so far.
What you mean as like expected? Like, because my expected versus your expected. Like, my expected is like, oh, he's the same guy he's been.
He's made a couple plays. I think that when Jameis is out there, it feels like he's a little bit more involved. When Jameis is QB1, and
they have that rapport from this summer.
Yeah, we've seen their connection a little bit. It's not like, there's times where just one guy dominates because the quarterback's going, like it hasn't been that, but like when they throw, it's just like the timing's there and it looks right. It looks right. It looks easy. But I don't know that you've seen anything from him pre-injury that makes you think that, like, all right, this offense is going to like the next level or something.
We're fine. Traquan is back.
Yeah. So I think look, honestly, like Hogan's been involved every day. I think he's got 8 or 9 catches already.
Okay.
He's probably been the most consistent receiver in camp so far. But look, I think part of that is that he's playing with a lot more groups too. So I mean, there's more opportunities
for second,
for like Callaway isn't out there when Trevor Simeon's leading the offense, but Chris Hogan might be out there for that, and then he might be in there for a snap at QB1, and he might be out there for a snap at QB2. So he's kind of like worked through a lot of different groups and gotten a lot of action, and that's probably to help him accelerate his learning process and all that stuff. So
yeah.
But he's open a lot. He's open a lot. That's all, and it.
I mean, is it against Marshawn or is it against?
Well, look, I can tell Washington. Talk for a second. I'll pull up the spreadsheet. I can tell you who what quarterback he's catching from.
Okay, yeah, because I think the thing with this group is, like, I'm not looking for wide receiver 1 because none of these guys fit that bill, in my opinion, right? I just don't think that's even within this group. And I'm not talking about wide receiver 1 across the NFL. I'm talking about wide receiver 1 across this group of guys that they have. So, I mean, I'm just looking for guys who can fill roles, right? This Jalen from Tulane is fast. Deontay's fast. Traquan is, he's Traquan. Callaway, he's a big body who, is a little deceptive in some ways, and he may have, some expansion in this game coming. I'm just looking for guys to fit certain roles. So like Hogan, do you see someone, is he playing out the slide? Is he playing, it's just like, I'm looking for guys to fit different positions, right? That's kind of like how I view this group of guys they have.
All right, here's his catches. 2-2-2, quarterback. Jameis. Ian Book, Taysom. So, I mean, most of them
equal opportunity.
Most of them are against the 1s and 2s, So
okay.
It's not like he's dominating cornerbacks nobody's ever heard of. Like it's the starters.
Cornerback somebody's never heard of.
It's Marshawn, P-Rob, CD, Keith Washington, Paulson Adebo. Adebo had a better day today too. Probably his best day yet.
So let's talk about let's transition.
Hold on, I'm not done yet. I just want to make it very, like, I'm not selling anybody on Chris Hogan. I'm just saying that he's been getting open in camp. And am I a believer that Chris Hogan? No, like he might make the team the way it's going. Like if you had to make a call right now, he'd probably hit your wide receiver 4 or 5. Like he'd probably hit that chart. There's a chance,
Callaway, Traquan, Deontay, and then
Lil Jordan Humphrey and Chris Hogan probably.
Oh, you got Lil Jordan above Hogan?
I mean, those are probably the guys that you would probably take on the team.
Yeah. Well, what about Jay? What about Tulane?
I don't think it's there yet. I mean, it would take a little bit more. Yeah. So there's a chance, there's a
17. They say remind him of Devery. I'm trying to get the feels, man.
I think everybody's got a chance. And look, I think these guys, it's Jalen McCleskey, Kwon Baker, the other young guys, Aesop Winston has made a couple plays. Yeah. I think for these guys, it's kind of like, get them through the first week, let them figure out what they're doing, let them get comfortable with the playbook, be practicing, being in the NFL, and then week 2, you kind of start to see, is this real or is it not real? Can they take the next step? Do they jump up? So a guy like Chris Hogan that's been in camps before, I think he's going to excel in week 1, and then everybody else gets a little bit better. The defensive backs all settle in a little bit. The other wide receivers settle in a little bit.
Right,
and you start to see, like, you start to see the actual talent instead of the experience. And does the talent allow these guys to close that gap? So it makes a lot of sense that Chris Hogan's running ahead. It made a lot of sense that Corey Fuller one year was running ahead. made a lot of sense that RJ Harris 1 year was running way ahead. It's what happens week 2, week 3 when the gap closes. What is it? I'll say for Hogan, coming into a new system, not knowing anything and being able to excel quickly is impressive. But I think just knowing how to conduct yourself in an NFL camp, in an NFL offense, how to run routes, how to get open, how to do all this stuff, how NFL cornerbacks are going to play leverage, how NFL defenses are going to play quarters, cover 3, because in college you aren't seeing, a defense throw out 4 different coverages, and the Saints are, they're 3-4 installs in already, and there's different stuff. So, I mean, we'll see, but he's playing well. He's doing the stuff that I think he needs to do so far.
Let's see what them veteran legs look like in week 4 training camp. See if he's still flying around like that. So that'd be something to watch. Let's real quick. I mean, the Saints brought in a few. I was talking to someone today on Twitter, Rob, and he was like, "I want to see a cornerback. I want to see them add cornerbacks." I'm like, they've added cornerbacks, just not the ones you want. They've added a lot of cornerbacks, more than any other position on this team. They're just not. No one's just excited about these guys. So they added K. Russell. That's what we're gonna call him. Prince Amukamara.
Kabari.
Call him K.
Yeah, I gotta.
Coach Spade,
I need to learn that. I haven't thought about saying his name until right now. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought about it and I was like, hey, I'm gonna let him say it and then I'm gonna pronounce it the right way. So until he does an interview, he's K. Russell, Brian Poole, Prince Amukamara, those are the guys they brought in at cornerback. So
here's the thing, like people get mad that why are they bringing him in? Why are they bringing him in? Like these are the players they would normally bring into a camp. The difference is that there's usually you feel better about the starters. So so like the years when they bring in, I can't even think. So Hakeem Nicks came in 1 year, and it was just like, well, they have other wide receivers. So see what he has, see if he can contribute, and if he can, cool. If he can't, whatever. You just bring in a guy and see what he has left in the tank, and go on from there. And maybe your depth gets better, or it doesn't. But whatever. And it's because they don't have a cornerback everybody feels comfortable with. It's like, why are they signing him? Like, what are they doing? Well, these are normal depth moves, and it's to see is Prince better than Keith Washington? That's what they're trying to figure out, And it's not like, well, this is a guy CB2's answer. No, that isn't what they're doing. Like,
I mean,
Freeman's just here to see, can he be Alvin Kamara's body double now that Ty Montgomery's playing more wide receiver? Yeah.
And then Coach Payton did say his cornerback was a must, so we knew they was going to bring some guys in.
I think they're still looking.
They better be. Right. I mean, right now you got to think P-Rob is the guy, but we'll see how that we'll see how that transpires over the course of training camp.
Yeah. We'll see, we'll see if something shakes free, but I think they're still looking. It's not necessarily entirely within their control if they'll be able to adjust that position satisfactory, to where they want to be. But I think they're looking. I think some things happen in camp, and maybe you see if somebody's a guy that got pushed down to maybe 3, CB3, maybe, maybe
two.
Maybe he's better than year 2. I think those are things you look at. And
Ain't no starting cornerbacks available right now. Most teams don't have.
Well, there's one that wants to be available.
Oh, you're talking about? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Is he actually available? That's a different.
Yeah, I mean, if he's available, then make that move and
do everything.
Yeah, whatever.
Yes.
Who do you want? Pick. It's just a bowl of players. Just grab one of them. We'll take it. Just as long as their name ain't, I don't know, Ryan Ramczyk. All right. So we got
Here's a reasonable take that we just put on the screen.
We have
brought in Hogan, Freeman, Poole, Prince, Kwon. These are underrated signings that quietly add depth to the roster. Yes. Because they lost the middle of the roster.
No, I think you forgot the main word in here. Add depth back to the roster. I like that.
Back to the roster. Exactly.
Back to the roster. Yeah, that's key.
Because that's what got squeezed out. Yes. That's
Tyrann Kai. Hot take, man. You coming for my job. So chill out with your good takes. No more. We ain't posting your stuff on the screen no more. Let's get that off of there. Move that. All right. I think the Dolphins will move hard toward the end of the preseason. All right. Well, ask them if you like gumbo.
Hey, one more time. Link on the screen. NewOrleans.Football/subscribe. Sign up. Support the show. Practice Sports. We need you. We need you.
If you guys want to get the same information I'm getting, because Nick doesn't tell me anything on the side. Nothing. ever. Then go to the website, read it. You know, you guys are getting the same information I'm getting. So check that out. Nick, let's get into let's hit a couple of quick topics, and then someone has to get up at like. Do you beat the Roosters up now? Like, are you up before the?
Yeah, I mean, not because it can't, because my neighbors are doing a construction project. I hope they listen to this because I think they do. I think they do. Like, please stop letting people saw wood. It's 6:40 in the morning. Please
Oh
stop.
gosh, yeah,
Please
that's
stop.
just
It's too early. Like,
that's not
let's wait till
neighborly.
8. Let's wait till 8.
Yeah, that's not neighborly.
7:45.
46.
Hey,
46,
anyways, yeah. Let's go.
8:45, 9:45.
Yeah.
If it's my preference. I'm not a morning person, but I get
I
up
hope
early.
they listen to this. I know they like read, so I hope they listen to this.
Are they
podcast.
subscribed?
Yeah, this is like the most passive aggressive attack of all time. But let's move on. Nobody cares about this.
Yeah, let's go. I got to get my roof done. So yeah, thank you for that. Hell. All right, let's close out on a few topics. Tell me, how are the rookies doing? I know Davenport. My gosh, let's start. We'll talk about him too. Tell me how Turner's doing. Let's start with Peyton Turner. We're just gonna go through the first 3 guys. Well, we'll talk about Baker too, but let's just quickly go through the rookies. Starting Peyton Turner.
I thought he had his best day today. Batted ball at the line of scrimmage. Flashed a couple times in the run game. Was solid in one-on-one pass rush.
Who did he go against in one-on-one pass rush?
It's in the notes. I can't remember. So I think he's been. I think he's been coming on. You know. Pads came out. He made me notice him a little bit more. So yeah,
that's a good thing. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you. Probably like around week 3 of training camp. I'm gonna ask you to compare him to what you saw from Davenport his first year.
Davenport had a good day today too, man.
That's who. Yeah, we're getting to him too. I'm definitely getting him. But I'm going to ask you in a few weeks, because it's not fair to ask you these questions now. And I love asking you unfair questions, but I do have my limits. In a few weeks, I'm gonna ask you to compare those guys' training camps, and just, it's a good compare. Even though we're not going to get into are they the same or not, I'm just saying, like, they're defensive ends and from small schools, and I just kind of want to get a comparison there. So we already talked about Werner. We already talked about Book. Adebo.
Yeah, he had 2 PBUs today.
Come on, DA.
He had 2 PBUs today, so I mean that was progress, and I thought he had the best gunner snap that I've seen all camp. Just really impressive play as a gunner. So maybe there's a path for him there to contribute. I see the upside. We'll see how it progresses.
Yeah. I mean,
he's bigger than any like stature, like height, weight. Like he is a big dude for a cornerback. He is a much greater stature than any of the other cornerbacks.
Stanley Jean Baptiste. My bad. That was too far.
Yeah, no. I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, they're both tall, so sure.
But I mean, Chris Richard, Seattle. I mean, I'm pretty sure there may be something there. And then Baker. Has anything stood out from him? The wide receiver that they drafted in the 7th round.
Oh, Kwon's been solid. He's making plays. He's in the mix with I don't think anybody like in that lower tier is like really separated, because like they've all made like a handful of plays. McCleskey's probably feels like a little bit ahead.
Okay.
Maybe just off of flash plays. Kwon's
this is his second year too. I just remember.
McCleskey?
Yeah, it's his second year. I thought he was a rookie. I think it's his second year.
I'll
check it while you're talking.
Not with this team.
Well, no, not with this team. I think just in general. I think it's his second year in the NFL.
Is it?
I'll check. Just keep going. Yeah, talk about Baker.
Maybe it is. I don't recall. I know he went to Tulane. So yeah, Baker's made some plays too. I thought the first day he stood out a little bit. He's consistently made some catches, but he's in that mix with Aesop Winston, him, McCleskey. I'm not sure that any of them have kind of differentiated themselves from the pack. So, I think that mix is tight through there, and we'll see.
All right. So now let's get into actually, it's his first year. It is his first year. My bad.
Someone said he was on Atlanta's practice squad. Yeah, that's right. He was in Atlanta's practice squad last year.
Okay, so it is his second year. Okay. All right. Yeah, I was like, man, I thought.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Look. All right. So, shout out to chat again. Chat, appreciate you guys. We need you guys. You guys are important in what we do. Thank you guys for being here. And I read your comments too. Believe it or not, like right now as we're like recording, I can't read them all because I got to listen to Nick. But I'm checking. I'm reading. If you guys bring up a good question or some point that I forget, I'll bring it up and act like I thought about it. So thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. Let's talk about the second year guys. Ruiz. I want to hear about. We already spoke about Bond, so I want to hear about Ruiz and I want to hear about Troutman. Let me hear it. Ruiz is someone when I brought him up, he was like, "Hey, he's looking like an NFL guard," which it would have been nice to have that last year against the 49ers. But yeah, how's he looking? Second year guard, Cesar Ruiz, first round pick.
So he's had some moments, and it's the first day of pads today. So
yeah,
it's unfair. But look, it's unfair to kind of really say a whole lot, like, because it's real blocking just started today. So it takes a little bit of time. So it's really one real practice. But I think overall, like, there's just been some obvious moments of higher understanding. Like I saw him save a sack like late in the snap, picking up a guy coming around the edge, like wasn't even his guy, picked him up. No, Granderson.
Granderson. Okay.
Yeah. So he picked that up late, saved the sack. That was a huge play for him. He had a good rep today against Huggins and one-on-ones. Didn't get to see in like the evaluation, just like we were inside today because of the rain, and they're doing one-on-ones on one half of the field. We're not allowed to go across the 50-yard line. There's a line of players, and then they're doing the one-on-ones behind them. So like you're looking through gaps of people. So I only got one clear view of one of his reps. He won it though, and I just think that he's just looked more confident, better, doing some things that he wasn't doing last year. So I think he's on the up and up. As for Troutman, I think it's been a little bit of a slower start. He dealt with some injuries during the offseason.
Oh, okay.
They've kind of it's just been like a little bit of a ramping up process. He's starting to get going a little bit.
Okay.
He's had a couple plays. I think as camp progresses, we'll see a little bit more.
Yeah, he's someone who's. I mean, obviously, right now is. Yeah, I'm not concerned right now, obviously, but he's someone named who I would expect to hear his name more. I mean, he worked out with Jameson off season a little bit too, so he's someone whose name, it would be nice to hear him a little bit because they need him to be good. Like if he's not good, then you need another couple of wide receivers to be good, or Ty Montgomery got to I don't know. Anyway, all right. And so in the last thing, like standing out, I know you can start with Davenport. I know he's someone that you mentioned is, he's looking a certain way.
Yeah, he had a good day today. He flashed more today than I think he has. And again, pads come out, more physicality, guys showing up. Man, his one-on-one reps. No, I got a good look at two of them.
Against who?
So Teron was out today, so he was going against Ethan Greenidge. He just dominated. Just like there's wins and then there's like dominating wins. Yeah, and he dominated his two reps. What do you want to see? A guy like him against Ethan Greenidge,
exactly.
A guy that's a physical freak versus a guy that's a solid backup tackle. Like he should win those reps like that.
You got to win those reps. Yeah.
Well, you can't play to any help or anything. Yes, he should win those reps like that. So that was good to see. Just got to see more with him. It's always got to see more. Got to see more. Got to see it consistently. We'll see it. We'll see going ahead. But
man, keep reading those books, man. Whatever he's posting on Instagram stories, hopefully they're working because they need him to be good. I mean, I see his Instagram stories every day. There's always like these philosophy books. I'm like, next, just as long as it's working, bro, I'm cool with it. So, all right. I see someone. You guys mentioned J.R. Sweezy in chat. They signed him. I forgot to bring him up. I remember when he was a free agent. I remember the Saints were interested in him a few years back. So I think he's someone that they maybe kind of had their eyes on.
Yeah, good.
Then back then it was probably for a starter, but now it's obviously not. But yeah. So and then Lattimore, you said he's kind of started camp maybe a little faster or a little bit more locked in. He seems than.
Yeah. So here's the question I keep getting: is it because the wide receivers are not as talented as previous years, or is it because look, when Marshawn would come to camp, there's just a different approach. Look, he's on the line of scrimmage, lined up, ready for the snap. He's not dancing in between snaps, waiting for the ball to be snapped. It's just kind of felt like in camp in previous years, it wasn't like they were. They were game planning these practices and he was shadowing Mike Thomas every play. He was playing the side of the field and, it'd be Traquan Smith, Tommy Lee Lewis, Austin Carr, whoever was Lil Jordan Humphrey, Emmanuel Butler, like whoever was cycling through with the ones, like,
Yeah.
you know, he would end up on those guys, and like the approach would just be different. And
Yeah.
like in these one-on-ones, like it's been like
He's offended.
it's like ridiculous, you know, and you shouldn't. And I got spreadsheets from other years, you know, and at some point I'll probably pull these up, but like, you know, it wasn't like he was winning every single rep against Traquan Smith. He is this year. And
I
like
see.
he's just locked in on these snaps. It just seems like he's practicing with, like, there was just an obvious difference in a level of intensity. Like how he practiced used to be a training camp storyline. Like, is he practicing hard enough?
Yeah,
What's
that's
going
fair.
on?
That's
What's he,
fair.
oh, is he repping something that we're not like cued
Right.
into? And
Right.
no, like it just
Right.
was like, it just wasn't the same level of intensity. And I think,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
DA used the word maturity. I asked him about this, and
Mhm.
he said he's, you know, he's showing up with a greater level of maturity.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a fair way to put it. And
And
contract
it's
year,
time to get paid.
some off field stuff happened.
Yeah, you're in
The
trouble in
man's
the
locked in.
doghouse.
And look,
Yeah.
whatever it is, whatever the reason, maybe it is just natural maturity.
Mhm.
Whatever it is, I think he's practicing a little bit better, and that's a good sign for the team. And you know, if he ends up having to go away, hopefully, whatever happens, then that level stays up. He comes back ready to go. He looks good right now, and you know, if he were available week 1, I feel pretty confident, and you know, feeling like he'd get off to a great start this year. They did not put Mike Evans on all the jerseys.
Hey man, hey, that was a good question, you know. I mean, we here for the fans. Yeah, I think you know, my quick take is I think that I understand that. Listen, when people say, "Oh, is it just the level of wide receivers that he's going against?" Fair question. Fair question. And if it was, you know, Odell Beckham Jr., he was going against every snap, or you know, the kid from Green Bay, Deontay Adam. Yeah. He wouldn't be winning probably as many because those guys are significantly better players. But I think with Marshawn, I think him being locked in is just as relevant as what the results are, right? If you get Marshawn locked in, then you know what you're going to get as a player. If he stays healthy and he's locked in, then you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a shutdown corner, right? So I think that kind of just, you know, I will be paying more attention to that more so than, you know, saying, okay, well, these are the guys, because we know what Marshawn can do against good wide receivers. Like, we don't have to speculate about that. You can speculate on that with Paulson and Debo. If he was shutting down everybody, then we could fairly say, okay, well, let's see what he does against better competition. Marshawn, that's not the question. We've seen him elite against elite, right? And it's just his you know, his want to is kind of what, you know, comes into effect there. All right, one more question before we end the pod. I gotta know, if people have asked me, I got like 5 DMs about this today. I've seen a couple of people talk about it in chat, and I actually wrote it as the first thing on the list, but I said I'm gonna say the best for last. How's Tommy Lee doing? All right, guys. Well,
look, I'll say this for Tommy Lee. Like, if
he's resilient, bro. He's resilient, bro. He's resilient. You can't kill him. You can spray him. You can step on him. He's gonna be back.
You know, I'll say this. So, like, if you have to lose Deontay Harris and you want to like build some things into the offense, you want a returner, all that stuff. Like, he makes sense through that. They look the same. They're the same size. If you're running some stuff, I think you can leave. Like, if there's elements built into your offense that you can't remove, and you just need someone to stand in, like he can stand in, right? We'll see. We'll see if he makes the team. But it makes sense to, you know, that's all I got. I mean, that's all I can, you know.
Why they call Tommy Lee Thanos?
trying to go through the thought process. That's all I got for him.
Man.
That's all I got for it, man. I mean, that's it.
Man. Listen, man, we're just having fun here. Listen, Tommy Lee Lewis has managed to have a really solid NFL career. One man loves him, and that's all it takes is one man with very good job security to love you, and you will have a role. Ask Andy Tanner and some of these other guys who just keep getting brought back.
Was he somewhere last year, Tommy? I feel like I saw him
Yeah, he was on the Saints.
Well, 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I think he was like in Detroit for a little bit.
Yeah, then he was on the Saints.
Yeah,
Every year he comes back every year, bro.
Oh, yeah.
It's like he's like Christmas. Just wait. Like when the calendar gets to a certain point, like Tommy Lee just gonna pop up. So shout out to Tommy Lee. Also, shout out to someone else. Everyone in chat, thank you guys for joining. It's not too late to sign up. I saw someone ask, is the code still working? There, just go sign up, man. Just go sign up. I
There's a
promise
code.
you.
Use a code. I didn't shut it down. I was supposed to. I just forgot
All right,
to.
the code is
Use
still
the code.
working.
Yeah.
So go use
Camp
it.
2021, $10 off an annual plan. I'll leave it open.
All right, don't make me call out your name, man. I want to scroll up and put it on the screen. So you was asking if the code is still working. It is. Go sign up. Like I said, everything that I spoke about today is from practice reports. Trust me, my man. He wakes up early. He looks at these practices. He goes home. He writes, and then he goes spend time with his dog and his lady. So I don't fit in there anywhere. All right, I may get a Nas text coming out this Friday.
Thursday.
Yeah, my bad.
Thursday night. Thursday night 11. Yeah,
right there with the Bodie James. Yeah, and so go to NewOrleans.Football. Get, like I said, everything that I'm getting it from NewOrleans.Football. Seriously, I'm not making this stuff up. This is not hyperbole, right? So practice reports are there. I mean, they're detailed. They're my favorite things. I think this is his favorite time of the year, is showing through the practice reports. There's an article up there again about Kwon. You guys are going to get the members only pod. We're going to start that back up. So that's going to be hot and spicy. Everything, man. So, and also there's going to be practices between now and Friday, right? So the analysis from those are going to be on the website, and we're going to talk about those on the members only pod. And the members only pod, we talk about everything that's in the article. So 2 pods a week, plenty of articles there daily at this point. I mean, I don't know what else to say, man. I'm almost begging at this point, but I ain't too proud to beg. So I'm old school. So with that said, thank you guys for listening. You guys stay safe. We'll see you next week. We out.